Fantastic. We're live on Zoom and on YouTube. Okay, let's let people, we're starting a little bit late today. We have a few technical hitches on our side.
As usual.
Hopefully, everything's going to be smooth now. Let's see how our attendees are going up. So, Lexi, we have 23 attendees in Zoom and currently no one in YouTube, but I've only just started. So, okay, let me know once you're comfortable to start and we'll start once you feel like.
1, 2, 3, let's start.
Okay, so welcome to the release of 22.12, our Christmas release of ClickHouse. If you don't know me, this is my third webinar, so hopefully I'm starting to become a bit of a familiar face. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dale and I'm part of the product team here at ClickHouse. And I'll be Alexi's assistant today. And I hope you all know who Alexi is. He's our CTO, but more importantly, he's the founder of ClickHouse and the oracle of all things ClickHouse. So we're going to present the new features today. And as ever, we'll highlight some performance improvements. And Alexi will go over some new features. And hopefully he'll have some challenges for us. And an opportunity to win one of our incredible black t-shirts. So finally, a few upcoming events we'd like to share. We have actually got our onboarding workshop going right now. So apologies for that conflict, but we will record it and make it available. That's those same onboarding workshops we run monthly. So there will be one in January on the 19th. So you can watch it then as well. And those are I think they're about 3 hours long, actually. So they're quite in-depth, quite involved. And there's an opportunity to ask any questions if you're new to ClickHouse. But for today, please ask any questions on any new features or anything else that's on your mind, ClickHouse related, in either YouTube or the Zoom chat or its Q&A feature in Zoom. And I'll collate these and we'll try to get through them at the end. And now over to Alexi for some exciting news. And I think the most exciting is maybe something Mongo related, but maybe there's things that are more exciting to Alexi.
What can be exciting about Mongo?
The opportunity to replace it.
We are not going to replace Mongo. Before we will start, let me check how many people do we have. Do we have any familiar people? So, hi Andrew, hi Denise, Federico, nice to see you again. Habibullah, welcome. Kuba, also nice to see you, as usual. Alexander, hello. Ramazan, nice to see you again. Ricky, Robert, Roman Vasin, thank you for the features you have implemented. Shane, Todd, UN. So let's start. Today, as usual, Dale, one more technical issue. The host has disabled screen sharing. Could you please enable it for me?
All right, we'll try to do that now. And allow to record local files. I'm going to make you the host, Alexi, okay?
Okay, perfect.
There you go. You should now be able to record. Share your screen.
Good. Okay, as usual, I will be presenting the most interesting features of the new release. And I hope we will have a few minutes for questions. It depends. So many features, so I will have to use our time carefully. So what it is all about? 22.12 is ClickHouse Christmas release. So we have a lot of gifts for you. 17 new features. 8 performance optimizations, and many bug fixes. while I am presenting, my colleagues are preparing a few more bug fixes. After they will finish, the release will be available. So what about the new features? We have some small but interesting features that we prepared for New Year as like small gifts for you. And I hope some of them you will find interesting. Some of them maybe you will play around a little and forget, but let's see. So, one small but neat feature. Support for numeric literals with underscores. If you want to write some number in select query, and it's a big number, like 10 billion, I usually not really confident when I type all these zeros. Like I'm trying to type in a group of 3 zeros, 1, 0, 0, 0, again 0, 0, 0, and count them again. But now it is much more convenient. You can simply separate these groups with underscores. It works with usual numbers. With floating point numbers, you can have this separator before or after the decimal point. For hexadecimal numbers, yes, we have the support for hexadecimal numbers, even for binary numbers. And it works not only for thousands, you can separate also hundreds to get lakhs and crores. I don't know what is lakh and crore, but maybe you know, and this feature will be useful for you. Another small but interesting feature. So, if you know SQL, you always write it like this. Select something from table. Sometimes you write it like with something, select something from table. But what if you will be able to write it other way around? From something, select columns. Oops, I want to say select columns from table. But now the other way around. From table, select columns. Where something. What for? Some people may find it more logical. Some people might find it more convenient. But actually, it is needed to allow some SQL editors to load the information about table columns while you are writing your query. So when you write from table, it will load the list of columns. It's quite controversial feature, but let's try to run this query. Just in case, for more confidence. Because I have too much confidence. I need to run this query just to check it. You know what? When I read this query, it looks like a mistake, but actually I can run it and we will see what will happen. Yeah, here is a list of some interesting issues and pull requests on GitHub related to the Christmas. Something about NFT gallery, advent of code, whatever, many interesting stuff. It works. If you find this feature useful, please write in comments. If there will be no people found this issue useful, we will remove it in the next release. Okay, just kidding. Another small but useful thing, group by all. So what if you have a query and many group by keys, or many columns or expressions, many aggregate functions, and you just don't want to repeat these keys in the group by clause. You just write group by all, and it works. It is nice. We were not sure what will work better, group by all or maybe group by star. But group by star will be maybe slightly less consistent, because it may look like all the columns from the table. Group by all means all the expressions and columns outside of aggregate functions. Actually, this feature is not needed at all, because you can write it like this with positional arguments. Simply write group by 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you know some interesting ClickHouse features, you can write it like this. Put these keys inside tuple. Make a name and use this name in group by. So we don't have to have group by all at all, but it is nice. So we have it. Some new interesting functions. Concat with separator. You write a separator, you write a few strings, and they will be concatenated with a separator. And additionally, concat_ws is an alias for compatibility with Spark. Some people are using ClickHouse with Spark, and they want to query ClickHouse with almost the same SQL. As a bonus, we also have a function concat with separator assume injective. I will not tell you what this function for. You will tell me. You will try to tell me what is it for. Write it in the comments. Write it in Zoom, and if your answer will be correct, not just what this function is doing. Also, please explain what for. Why do we have this function? Concat with separator assume injective. Okay, you have 5 seconds to type your answer. Dale, do we have any answers ready?
This isn't great. We don't, but we have a message on the Q&A saying chat disabled. We cannot reply. That might explain the silence, relative silence.
No problem. Do it like this. First, hack Zoom.
If people want to put their answers in Q&A, then that's also acceptable. So if we can give people another 5 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, apparently we have all the features in Zoom disabled for some reason. But no problem. You can write the answer on YouTube if you like, or even in our Slack or Telegram chat. The first who will answer correctly will receive this T-shirt. We will make a delivery. I hope it will arrive before New Year.
So we have an answer, but I'm not entirely sure. So there's two. We have two answers. We have prevent SQL injection.
No.
No. And second answer is group by optimization.
Yes, but you still have to explain. What optimization? How? Okay, let's give a little bit more time to answer, but let me continue. So another interesting feature, support for custom specified precision inside decimal multiplication and division. So if you have two decimal numbers with some precision and scale, let it be five digits after decimal, and you divide these numbers. By default, the result of division will also have 5 digits after decimal. But now we have two more functions: divide decimal and multiply decimal. And you just specify the desired precision as you like 10 digits after decimal. And here they are 10 digits as you wanted. Pretty easy. And this is not so easy. So we have user-defined functions in ClickHouse already for a year. And now, since version 22.12, you are being able to use SQL UDFs inside create query. In expressions like default expression for a column or alias, materialized, whatever. So let me give you one example. We will introduce a function to bfloat16. What is bfloat16? It is a floating point format with only 16 bits. It is used for machine learning, available in GPUs, in tensor processing units, in some CPUs, in hardware, but it is not available in ClickHouse. We have float32, float64, but no float16. What is bfloat16? It is a special format named float16 for Google Brain. But it is used not only in Google, it is already everywhere. How it works? Take 32 bits of floating point number float32, single precision, and take only the most significant bits. The most significant 16 bits, they will contain 1 bit for sign, 16 bits, no, not 16, 8 bits for exponent, and 7 bits for mantissa, for significant part. It will be rough, but it will be able to represent a large range of values. In this example, this function will simply zero out least significant bits. The resulting number will still be floating point 32. But if we will store these numbers in tables, they will be compressed twice as good, and queries will be processed twice as fast. So let's use it. Let's create a table named feature store, and it will contain some text data and machine learned vectors with array of float32. And we will add another column, vector 16, that will be automatically calculated of the vector column. But the numbers inside vector will be just like truncated to float16. And for the original column, I also specified TTL expression. So the original column will be simply cleaned out after 1 day. It is quite easy. And also I specified the std codec So the new column will be able to compress better. And it works like this. I inserted some vector into my feature store, and the original vector is preserved as original numbers, but vector 16 is slightly different, but just a little. Instead of 1/10, I have almost 1/10 with some small error. And the distance, yes, we have this function for distance, is not too large. And all the machine learning models will work as expected. All the search queries will work as expected. Okay, I hope maybe just a few people will find this feature useful, but they will find it really, really useful. So I'm happy that we have this feature. Okay, before we will go to the next section, Dale, any answers to my question about concat with separator assume injective?
Yeah, Constant Stan, who answered the first one, I hope I got that name right, who said group by optimization, followed up with to not calculate a constant input for each row.
What?
So to avoid calculating a constant input for each row as a group by optimization. And we have injective means it will map 1-to-1 as a return. Not quite sure that's an answer. And yeah, I'm not seeing any other answers at this point. Like as string array concat, I'm not sure that's quite there.
Yeah, not even close. But the first answer, it is almost correct. You know, if we will have no more answers, we will simply have to send this t-shirt, even if the answer is not entirely correct.
Okay, well, maybe we just continue and at the end we'll see. Okay, so Kanstenstein, if I can pronounce your name correctly, apologies. Kanstenstein says injective function is automatically taken out of the group by.
Yeah, this is the correct answer.
Perfect, we have a winner.
Yeah, actually, it can be explained in even more detail. Why do you need to take out injective functions from group by? Why don't you just rewrite your query and do it manually? But nevertheless, let me continue. So what do we have for operations? Monitoring, introspection, just a few nice features. A new table, system moves. It will simply show you what data parts are currently being moved between disks and volumes. It will show you the target disk name, the part name, and the time elapsed. Pretty simple. For ClickHouse Keeper, I know you like ClickHouse Keeper, so we introduced a Prometheus endpoint. Now you can simply monitor ClickHouse Keeper, add this configuration. You can do it in YAML, in XML, and it will simply export the metrics. And as a bonus, the performance of ClickHouse Keeper significantly improved in case of very large number of write requests. In previous version, 22.11, 22.8, whatever version do you use, in previous versions, if you take 1 million of write requests, send this number of requests to ClickHouse Keeper at once. It might take more than session timeout to process, and ClickHouse Keeper will answer something like, operation timeout, session expired. I don't want to process a million of requests. Now it's not a problem. So write performance and stability will be perfect, almost perfect. I'm not sure if it is. I'm not sure how many times it is faster than Zookeeper right now. I'm only sure that it is faster. What about operations if you want to allow arbitrary users to create tables? Now we have the possibility to constrain the users for settings they can use inside merge tree tables. So if you want to allow creating merge tree tables, but don't want users to change the storage policy, simply add this configuration and write constraints like this. Merge tree underscore, this is a prefix, then the setting name, and then constraints like constant, minimum, maximum. So you can specify the maximum for merge tree parts to throw insert, because it is not good to raise this setting to too high value. What is for security? Now we have the possibility to specify password complexity rules. So the users will be able to create other users with some passwords, but not being able to use two simple passwords. These rules can be configured in the main configuration file as a set of rules. Every rule is configured as a regular expression. Like this expression checks that the password is at least 12 characters long. This regular expression will check that it contains at least one numeric character, and so on. It works like this. Let me try to create a user named Vasyan, and it will have password QWERTY123. And I will get this exception. The password should be 12 characters long at least, and so on and so on. And by the way, if you write it in ClickHouse client, the password is being hashed on client side. The plain text password never sent to the server. So only hashes are exchanged. The server will communicate with the client and tell the client, please check these rules for password complexity. And the client will check. Maybe the feature is just too secure and you don't care about it. No problem, but we do. So we have this feature. And this is even more interesting if you care about it. Cleaning up credentials in logs, in system tables, in a system, in show create table. So ClickHouse has integrations with many different systems, MySQL, Postgres, Mongo, with ClickHouse itself. And whenever you use these integrations, or not whenever, when you use it, sometimes you have to provide credentials. you can use named collections feature instead. But if you provide credentials, these credentials should not leak into logs into every place. So now they are cleaned up. It looks like this. If you do show create table, you will not be able to see these credentials. If you are querying query log, it will also be hidden. Okay, some interesting stuff as a bonus. What about data formats? Now we have support for BSON. This is from MongoDB, but I don't care. I don't care about MongoDB. Maybe BSON is a nice format. Let's check it. And to check it, I have a table with 1 million records. Every record is about 1 kilobyte without compression. And I will just dump all these records into JSON lines format. It is the same as writing format JSON each row. It takes 0.8 seconds. If I write it like this, dump into out file hits.bson, or in the same way, format bson each row and redirect to hits bson. It takes 0.5 seconds. So bson is a faster format. And if I compare the size, JSON will take 2.3 gigabytes, about 2.3 kilobytes per record, but BSON will take only 700.7 megabytes. So much better. I'm not sure if BSON is more useful than JSON lines. At least JSON lines has some advantages. It is readable. And instead BSON, you can use protobuf, Parquet. I don't know if BSON should be preferred. Maybe you want to take some data out of MongoDB and insert into ClickHouse. Then BSON will be natural. It also works faster for import. When I tried to import JSON each row format, it took 4 seconds. With BSON, 1.4 seconds. It has auto detection of file extension, schema inference, everything. And this is probably the most complex, the most sophisticated feature of the new release, Grace hash join. I thought it was named after Grace Hopper, but it appeared to be untrue. So what it is just yet another join algorithm. You select it like this. Set join algorithm equals to Grace hash. Let me do some experiments and try to use it for some large joins. So take the same data with page views. Every page view has a URL and referrer. So where the user comes from is a referrer. What page the user has visited is URL. So this table can be imagined like a graph. And every referrer and URL is an edge in this graph. Let me try to do some graph analysis with ClickHouse. I will try to connect one more edge. So I will try to search the previous referrer before this referrer for every user. And I will get a sequence of 3 URLs, like referrer of referrer, referrer, and URL. Do you get it? Dale, please tell me.
Yeah, I get it actually. I'm wondering, we had a similar issue with trying to identify file change histories. Maybe we could use the same feature.
Yes, absolutely. It is possible with the same feature, but basically it was always possible. You just have to do join. So let's try to do self join. We will join hits table on itself. The user should be the same in joined records, and also we will match by the URL of previous page view equals to the referrer of the current page view. We will filter out empty data, and let's check the performance. With the default hash algorithm, the query took 26 seconds and 26, what a coincidence, gigabytes of memory, like 1 gigabyte of memory allocated per second. I don't know why. There is a faster algorithm named parallel hash. With this faster algorithm, the query took only 10 seconds and about the same amount of memory. The problem is I don't want to allocate almost 30 gigabytes of memory. I want to constrain it to just 10 gigabytes. And it was always possible. We already have another join algorithm named partial merge. And with this algorithm, this query will succeed even on small servers. But how it will succeed? In a way that I don't like at all. I started to run this query. It started to run. And after 15 minutes, I was almost convinced that we have infinite loop in our code. After a few more minutes, it has finished. But the time, it is just unbearably slow. It was 10 seconds, but instead like 20 minutes. Happily, now we have a new join algorithm named Grace hash. This algorithm is slightly more difficult to use. Sometimes you have to specify another setting, Grace hash join initial buckets. And this setting is fairly technical. You may not even know what it does, but try different values. And this query will succeed about 10 times faster than with partial merge, and it will take less than 10 gigabytes of memory. Yes, it is not like 10 seconds, because it has to write data on disk. It will have to read this data back and merge it, do some algorithm in external memory. But it works, and now we have it, and it works relatively fast. One more question for one more t-shirt. What it is all about? What Grace hash join is, how it works, why it is named Grace hash join. If someone will answer, if the answer will be really good, I will send you this t-shirt. Okay. What else? I told you about security, but what about these letters? CCPA, GDPR, PCI DSS, SOC 2, Type 2. Do you need this? Probably not. But I want to make it as a gift for you because you deserve it. You deserve it for Christmas, all these letters. And usually you need this, but not because you really need this CCPA, GDPR, PCI, DSS, SOC 2, Type 2. No, because someone else told you that you have to comply to some compliance, and it can be quite complicated. The rules of compliance are quite complicated. But now we have a dedicated website specifically for you, trust.clickhouse.com. And on this website, you will find everything about compliance, security programs, certifications, all the documents, all the questions you can answer. You can subscribe to new certifications that ClickHouse will have. And now we have all of this and even more in the next year. And you can read about our bug bounty program, about penetration testing for ClickHouse that we have made, about audit reports. So you only have to open this website, download some long PDF. You don't even have to read it. Just forward it somewhere and problem solved. ClickHouse has compliance, all the requirements for you. What else? ClickHouse Cloud. We have launched ClickHouse Cloud just previous week. And go to clickhouse.cloud. Sign up for 30-day trial. It works for, the trial works for up to 1 terabyte of data. And there are also special services for developers, for new services, for development of something new with ClickHouse. These are fully fault-tolerant multi-AZ clusters that will cost less than 100 per month. Typically less than 100 per month, ideally for small ClickHouse clusters. And what else do we have? Do you know what it is? It is a new native SQL user interface for ClickHouse. It allows you to write queries with syntax highlighting, with table navigation, with multiple saved queries, with query history, with charting capabilities, with result navigation, with filtering, with interactive queries, everything. It is absolutely native to ClickHouse. I like it because it feels good. It is available specifically in ClickHouse Cloud. So if you don't use ClickHouse Cloud today, start using it tomorrow. Thank you. Now we have a few minutes for questions.
Okay, and we have a few questions. We've also got your second t-shirt. So, and we already have one winner for the first t-shirt. Just in answer to the concat with separator assume injective, I wasn't clear to me until I thought about it, but I think, am I right in saying that it avoids the computation for each row, as we know the values map 1-to-1, so we can basically just do the group by and then do the concatenation on the results?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yep. Absolutely. This is the correct answer. And let me clarify. So you write something like select concat ABC group by as X, group by X. It is suboptimal. It will be much better to write group by ABC. But sometimes you have a query generator. And I was working with some colleagues. The motivation of this feature is that ClickHouse is a very practical database management system. it goes from real production use cases. And quite a while ago, I was working with some colleagues implementing a business intelligence service on top of ClickHouse. And they used this query. I was asking them, why don't you simply write group by ABC? It will be better. But they answered, we have a query generator. Yes, maybe we can do this logic inside query generator, but it is written in Perl. And all engineers that has written it in Perl have quit many years ago. So now you have to implement it inside ClickHouse. And we did it. We did just a special name of another function that will be automatically removed from group by.
So we have a few questions. Do you want to deal with the Grace question first? What do you prefer? Answers which tell you the origin of the name of the join, or an explanation of how the join works?
Let's start with the name.
So we have a few people that got the name correct. Todd Yoakum, I think, was probably the first, as well as Roy, and they both said named after, sorry, Todd said named after Grace Hopper. I think it's a joke. But Yevgeny and Roy both said named after the Grace database, which I think is correct.
What database?
Grace database.
Grace database. Interesting. I'm not sure if it is correct, but maybe.
Okay. I did like Dimitro's explanation. I think it's pretty close. So Grace hash join brings rounds of scanning the big table down many times to just twice, once for petitioning, the other for row matching. Similarly, the small table will also be scanned twice.
Almost quite close, but not quite.
And Roy also had a similar answer, slightly subtly different, but Grace hash join petitions both left and right tables with hash on the join key, then hash joins each petition.
Yes, this is correct. Yeah. It also writing these partitions to disk.
Yep. Okay. So I imagine we know Roy quite well, but I imagine he has a t-shirt, but we'll reach out to Roy anyway.
Good.
And then we have a few questions. A good question, which is for the all clause, what happens if we already have column names called all, now that this is a reserved keyword?
It will be incompatible, and you will have to write this column inside backticks or double quotes.
Okay, so hopefully we haven't broken too many people there.
I hope.
Hopefully not. Is it possible to define a default storage policy per user? That was asked by Roy.
Actually, I'm not sure about this. Maybe not. If you define some constraint, it will force users to specify exactly this storage policy. But about the default storage policy, it is possible for global configuration, but for user, apparently no. It's a good feature request.
Please, if I will issue it, if somebody doesn't issue it first, if Roy doesn't raise an issue first. For I think this is in regards to the Grace hash join, but when can Grace hash join when non-equal join, and will it work on nested set? I think it means if the join clause isn't just a straight equality, can it still be used?
Grace hash join works only for equality comparison, and it is even more limited. It works only for inner and left. It does not work for right and full join. It does not work for as of join. And we don't have support for joins by inequality key.
Okay. Yeah. Is that latter property a property of the algorithm, I thought, on equality, is it not? Yeah, not a quality of its restriction of the algorithm, not necessarily a limitation of ClickHouse's implementation. Can we use, I mean, I think the answer to this is yes, but we can always check. Can we use the newest version of ClickHouse Keeper with an older version of ClickHouse? So can we upgrade ClickHouse Keeper independently of ClickHouse?
Yes, yes, and this is actually recommended. So ClickHouse Keeper, if it works, and it should work perfectly with previous version, and if you want to upgrade ClickHouse, just leave ClickHouse Keeper alone. You don't have to upgrade it at all. It is already almost perfect. There are some optimizations, some new features like Prometheus handler, but it is totally unnecessary to do a simultaneous upgrade. Upgrade ClickHouse first, and when it will be a good time, upgrade ClickHouse Keeper.
Okay. So a few questions on, we'll deal with the first. How is the march towards making JSON objects production ready and bringing it out of experimental? When do you anticipate that, Alexei?
There is one optimistic schedule and another pessimistic schedule. So optimistic is the first half of next year, and pessimistic is the second half of next year.
Okay.
There is also overly pessimistic answer, but I will not tell you.
Yeah, we'll stick with the pessimistic and optimistic if we can. So do we have any plans to open source the console UI? I think that's probably going to be a common question. Do you want to answer that one? Yeah,
so it is a matter of decision of the original developers and the people behind this product. If they decided it should not be open source, then it will not be open source. For example, I decided to make my small play UI open source, and that's why it is open source. It all depends on the people's choice.
Okay, it will. I think the answer probably is not anytime soon. Would be but we're always considering decisions.
Why should we answer like this? Not anytime soon. No, answer like it depends on how much you will ask.
How many people ask? So do we have so how does it, generally on the Grace hash join, I mean, it obviously performs slower than hash because it's writing to disk. Do we have like any indication of the multiples there, or is that a fairly is that something have we done extensive benchmarking there to give any indication as to what the difference in performance would be?
I expect a difference, at least an order of magnitude, even with the fast disks, because it has to serialize this data. It will also compress this data and decompress.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few times at least, 10 to 20 typical.
Okay, we have, I mean, I think, yeah, it's going to depend largely on the performance of your disks, but multiples. So we had this question last time, actually, and I thought we answered it, but we can do it again. Are there plans to make a table engine like S3 Plain that supports writes like merge tree for the main node, but other nodes are just basically readers only?
We considered it, but it appears not so easy. S3 does not have many required properties of file system that we need. It does not support atomic writing of a file, or refusing to write if a file already exists. And this simple operation is crucial for implementation of this scenario. So we cannot implement it simply without external metadata.
Okay, well, that's a good answer. Thank you. And I think, so some examples of v22.16 would be useful for ML use cases. I'll take that as feedback for the release blog that will accompany this. So we'll probably do something on gross hash join in the release blog, but that's probably the biggest feature here, but we can also do something for v22.16 and try and cover that. Okay, I think, and a final anonymous question: when are we going to release S4 to replace and improve S3?
S4, right?
Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for the questions, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. See you next time.
Ciao.